up, YouTube?
What up?
We're back in the garage with more projects. The last time you saw the Cherokee in a video, we were talking about the axle swap in the front, the coilovers, fuel cell, 4-link in the rear, a whole bunch of stuff. So,
whole 9 yards.
what we're starting on first is going to be cutting down this 05 Plus Dana 60. This will be our first 05 Plus that we've cut down.
Yes.
We got a couple of 99 to 04s.
We have heard that this is a fairly decent task.
Obviously, everything that can be unbolted, we're going to unbolt. The leaf or the coil spring buckets, unbolt and come off. The sway bar stuff comes off. And then this side is pretty straightforward. You basically just cut everything that's attached to the axle tube, cut it off. So we'll be cutting this stuff off around the tube, getting this bracket off that was the, what do they call those links? The controller, radius arm.
Radius arms.
The factory radius arm brackets off all the way up to the C.
Have them radius arm bushels been replaced? Oh no, they ain't. That's the cast. Never mind.
And then on the cast side, from what I've seen, you basically just cut and follow the shape of the diff, cut it off across the top of the tube here, and then in the back it's all cast. So you basically just cut around the whole thing, and then you also cut, I believe it's about 2 inches out of the cast.
Yeah, it's pretty much like the 04 and down. Once you get to that part.
Yeah, that part will be very much the same. We will also weld the tubes to the cast because these things can spin inside the cast.
You know, all this monstrous LS power.
Mm-hmm. But first things first, boy, you're going to strip this thing down. So everything's coming out. The gears are coming out. The knuckles are coming off.
This thing was upside down. Maybe it's got a whole lot of dirt stuck in it, or there's no fluid in it.
Maybe there's no fluid in it.
We'll find out here in just a minute.
There it is, stripped down. We couldn't separate the hub from the axles because we don't have snap ring pliers, so we just pulled that out as an assembly. But man, it's a pretty good size axle shaft. So now, the main reason for doing that was just to make this thing lighter. I mean, we didn't have to take it apart to cut it down, but I want to do ball joint eliminators. It was getting a front locker and gears, and you know, it just makes sense to pull it all apart and make it's a little bit easier to move around. It's a lot lighter. So that's where we're at. I guess we're going to call it a night, and you'll see us back next time taking a saw, grinder, hammer, chisels.
Oh, there ain't
maybe
no
a pocket
telling.
knife.
Oh. I mean, I'll stab it if we have to.
Ain't no telling. All right, we're back. Day 2 of the Dana 60 cut down. 05 plus Dana 60, 35 spline, the big boy stuff.
What have we got ourselves into?
So now that it's stripped down, we're just gonna start cutting, and the weapon of choice, I guess, is gonna be angle grinder and a reciprocating saw. Can't have nothing nice. Get a brand new axle and he wants to hit it with a hammer.
BFH. Move. A hammer swinging move. Please come in this way.
Probably from in here out, I think. God.
Well, I'm glad I kept hold of that. Sorry, not to hell where it went. And it don't want to come out of my hand. Let me come in a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Hey! Easy on my crotch.
all right. No wonder that was so hard to cut. God almighty.
Let's, try not to cut the axle up.
Yeah, well. Tis been a scratch.
I tell you what, the Sawzall is really doing it.
Yeah, I'm impressed. It looks exactly like it did when we left it, unfortunately.
Well, we've got a few things going on.
I got a truss ordered. I got high stair arms ordered. I got a bunch of stuff coming from Barnes 4-wheel drive. Pretty excited about that. I think I may have talked about this, but I'm going to do the low profile Pro Series truss. So I got that coming. Lower link mounts coming.
Ooh.
What else did I say I ordered? Oh, bump stop pads.
High steered weldable arms.
I guess let's get back to cutting. See how this goes.
Yeah, I think we'll start trying to get this piece because eventually we're going to have to flip this axle.
Yeah,
Get
and
this
we
off.
broke this off. I think we showed that last time. We cut it so far, then we were going to try to work it back and forth and break the welds, and ended up breaking the whole bracket.
So it's part of the process.
I would like to point out, though, the precision of that cut with the reciprocating saw.
You've been pretty proud of that.
I'm proud of that. I mean, look at that, dude. It didn't even scuff the paint right there.
Yeah, are you bad? I mean, when you bad, you bad.
Hey, I mean, the proof's in the pudding.
Yeah.
We're standing here looking over it. For people who might be interested, obviously this is a lot easier if you get the bushing out of the way, and I'm sure there's a giant press tool for removing those, but we don't have that tool. So what we did,
That luxury.
cut a relief cut in it, stuck a big chisel in there, knocked it a few times, cracked it, and then just knocked the bushing out with a hammer to give us a little bit more room so we can cut into that and not have to try to cut through the bushing and the rubber and all that stuff. So
Yee boy.
we're getting there.
Well, Micah.
We're down to one battery and the battery charger's not charging, so
Yay.
we might be sawing by hand here shortly. Finally got the bulk of it off completely. This is the bottom side of the axle, so you kind of just do whatever you want to here as far as, you know, how much grinding you want to do to make it look nice.
Yeah, we'll just probably just end up just figuring all this out.
Yeah. But since we're doing the Barnes truss, and I think most trusses are probably this way, we know we got to cut a little bit of the end of the casting off here. And we're going to work on that first because it'll give us a little bit more room to get in here and cut the welds to get this part off, because the other side put up a heck of a fight.
It was way more exposed than what
And
this
there was way more room. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to work on cutting this. We may have to cut this back, unfortunately, because this is hard to cut. But work on cutting that back and splitting this off. So.
We got something real thin that we can put right here and put a mark on it. So we get some kind of a depth.
You're close on that. You could probably go a little deeper.
Yeah.
Right there, but I think you're really close. And probably on the top. supposed to have already done this for me when I picked this axle up.
Yeah, he was. But
And
what did
I
he
got
do?
gypped.
He didn't do it, and then he bent a wheel stud.
Yeah, driving over top of my axle on a trailer.
And that, I mean, it took us, that first night was cutting the damn wheel stud off.
Yeah, that was a whole night nearly. Finally got the rest of the cast knocked off here. I didn't film any of that. It's pretty much the same process all the way around. But now we can get to this piece. And it just made the most sense to cut the cast off first. We did have to kind of cut like a relief in here to be able to slide the cast pieces out, because otherwise they're caught under this, you can't get them out. So now what I'm going to do is cut this in half at least, maybe quarter it, and then come through and cut the welds and try to knock it off just like we did that side. Success. The last piece has been cut off. Holy smokes. I wish I could say that you're gonna enjoy that, but that's a chore. If you think you got a big enough hammer, get a bigger hammer. What is on my face? Now that that's done, we're gonna take a flat disc, probably like a 40 grit, clean all this up a little bit. The cast needs to be cleaned up. This all needs to be shaped. And then I'm gonna go over the tubes with those sanding discs and a grinder just to knock the paint down, or off. Take this all the way down to bare metal. I don't really know what the standard is as far as cleaning that stuff up. You know, how far do you go? How nice do you make it look? I mean, obviously this is the back side of the axle, but you can kind of see how I did it. I just sort of shaped it and blended it all in. I think that's probably good enough. We'll see when I set the truss on there if there's anything else that needs to be clearanced. This side obviously is pretty straightforward. You just take it down to the axle tube diameter. So yeah, I got to roll this thing up now. Check the top, see if I need to clean anything else up there, and then I'll be ready to set the truss on. Alright guys, that's it for axle prep to get your truss installed. This will be a little different depending on what truss you go with, but I think most of them require trimming of the casting over here, and then obviously the brackets to be cut off. I have a Barnes truss already on the 99 to 04 50 that I have, and was super impressed with how well it fit, but this low pro truss for the 05 Plus fits even better. I mean, there's almost no gaps anywhere. The thing fits super close. There was a small section in the back where I didn't trim or didn't grind the casting completely level, and I just kind of notched it so that the piece has kind of a shelf to sit in. At this point, this thing is ready to be burned in completely. We can't do that here. I got to take it over to another shop to use a bigger welder because this thing is going to need some heat. That'll be the next step in the process. So thanks for watching, guys, and like always, maybe one day we'll see you out on the trail. Peace. Oh, this side. I was about to say, this side ain't sitting on there very good.